Hey, hey, hey. Happy Wednesday. Come on in. Pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, shockingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard. Tonight is Wednesday, August 30th, 2023. This is live stream 958. If you're not overly familiar with the show, let me point out, super casual around here. We just hang out talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news, and normally we'll take a first look at a game. Every once in a while I'll do a live review here on the show, but for the most part, we're usually taking a peek at something new, and that is what we're going to be doing tonight. It is a War Game Wednesday once again, thanks to our friends over at GMT Games, and I'm going to be unboxing and taking a first look at Plantagenet from, as I mentioned, GMT Games. And we'll be diving on into this in just a bit. This is volume 4 in the Levy and Campaign series from GMT. So very curious to see what we've got inside this. So that is coming up in just a bit. Do want to mention, if you're not familiar with the show and you are watching live because you want to see that unboxing of Plantagenet, keep in mind, we tackled the tabletop gaming news first around here. So it's probably going to be about 35, maybe 40 minutes before we get into that unboxing. Now, if you are watching live, just kick back and relax. Enjoy yourself. It's hump day. Enjoy it. Be good to yourself. Now, if you happen to be watching this 30 minutes or more after the show is ended, well, there will be timestamps. So if you're an impatient type, just has to get to that unboxing, well, you'll be in luck because there will be timestamps in the show notes. You can use those to skip right past tabletop gaming news if you'd like. Although I do have some cool news tonight. I have cool news every night. So there is that. Now, depending on what device you might be watching this on, those timestamps might be right there in the timeline of the video. All depends. All right. Now, of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you won't find here on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Also, because this is a live stream, that means there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. And you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least 48 hours before taking part in chat. Yet another way that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you want to say howdy, maybe you've got a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my best to respond. First out the gate tonight, Kathy Evans. Stray Kismet is with us, as is Kevin R. Smith and Roger Prudhomme. So we already know the madman, the Motor City madman himself, will not be joining us as a chat moderator tonight because he's actually at DragonCon or on his way to DragonCon down there in, if I remember right, isn't it Atlanta? I think it's in Atlanta. I've actually gotten approved to go cover it in the past. Just never had an opportunity to do it. It just wasn't in the budget for the year. So I stopped even applying for press passes. But when we first started out, it was like, nope, sorry, no press pass for you, no soup for you. And then it was like, oh yeah, sure, we'd love to have you come down. But then we had a couple of passes for Elliot and I, and we just, a couple of years in a row, just weren't able to make it there. So I stopped applying. Mr. Marmello is with us with a super chat. Thank you very much. And Scott B. Smith is hanging with the gang tonight. I would take a guess that our chat moderator, Sarah D, might be lurking. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see our friend Flaming Huron, another chat moderator from Australia, pop in a little bit later. Also, all right, so let's jump on into the news because I've got a nice eclectic mix tonight. First off, pre-orders have begun for Moon from Sinister Fish. I've got the skinny on the game. And I guess this is kind of serendipitous because tonight we've got a super moon going on. We won't see another super moon until, what, 2034, I think it is? But we're not talking about a super moon. We're talking about Moon, the board game, which is the third and final entry in Hakan Holgarner's Loose Trilogy, which began with Villagers. It's a competitive game of lunar base building for 1 to 5 players. The heaviest game of the 3, it's still easy to learn, but has a great deal of strategic depth. Using the familiar pick and pass mechanism with a new twist, plus elements of engine building and worker placement, Moon is filled with crunchy decisions. Moon depicts an almost plausible rush, I don't know, I think it's more plausible now than before, to construct lunar bases that are attractive places to live and work for the people of Earth. The most prestigious base will become the new lunar capital. The game employs the familiar pick and pass or hand drafting mechanism for players to select a new structure card to add to their base. Each hand of cards represents a convoy of experts and equipment traveling between the player's outposts, giving the player the choice of one new construction each turn. In a new twist on the genre, each hand also contains one of a number of expedition cards that grant a special free action every turn before passing on to the next player. Wooden lunar rover tokens are a neutral resource that adds a worker placement element to the game. They are also used to break ties and so must be used with care. Over the 3 distinct eras of the game, players compete for majority in 5 aspects of their bases: housing, transportation, science, industry, and food production. At the end of each era, the leader in each of these areas, as determined by flag icons on their constructed buildings, collects bonus victory points. Each game also features a number of randomly selected reputation cards, which provide one-time or ongoing bonuses for the player who meets the requirement and claims the card. This deluxe edition, which you are seeing in these images, contains all wooden components, color-printed moon rover tokens, which is not what you're seeing. You're seeing just blank white. These are color-printed with little windows and stuff, as well as 3 storage boxes which double as token trays. The deluxe edition of Moon, once again, is for 1 to 5 players, ages 10 and up, plays in around 40 to 80 minutes. It's going to carry an MSRP of approximately, because this is not coming from the US, I believe Sinister Fish is out of the UK. It'll be approximately $59.99. This is actually arriving next month. It's got a release date of September 30th. I got to say, this looks very, very intriguing. Of course, you probably recall I have covered Villages as well as Streets. Both excellent games, really, really nice games. And this is a little bit crunchier, so I'm kind of like, yes, yes. Sarah D says, oh no, the shadow moderator is moderating alone at the moment. Yes, with the great banhammer comes great responsibility. And yes, Kevin points out that he's hoping that Sarah's leg is doing better. I do as well. Tessie Trekkie has arrived and says they feel great shame they were only able to back Moria as backer number 14. They were far too slow. I have absolutely no idea what Tessie Trekkie is talking about. On to our next news piece. Osprey Games has released the skirmish miniature rules system, The Doomed. Here's the dope. Hunger, hatred, domination, oblivion, and ruin. Oh, that sounds like fun. The world is dying, poised on the brink of falling to one of these great dooms. Factions pursue their own interests, as likely to be the heralds of the world's destruction as they are its saviors. Horrors, monstrous abominations that defy logic, science, and nature roam the land. Bands of hunters follow bold leaders, seeking out and destroying horrors, gaining fame as word of their deeds spreads amongst the desperate survivors. Rival bands compete for prestige, clash over ideology, and pose as much of a threat to each other as the horrors they hunt. The Doomed is a quick-playing, rules-light skirmish war game in which small war bands of hunters compete to hunt unique horrors in a bleak science fiction world. Scenarios are defined by the horror being hunted and by the conflict in which the hunt takes place. Each horror has its own strengths, weaknesses, and tactics, often breaking the rules in unique ways and must be approached carefully. Stealth, cunning, I've got a cunning plan, me lord, and brute force will all have a role to play. Each conflict, meanwhile, provides a distinct setup for the scenario and a secondary objective that pits the war bands against each other as well as against the horror. Campaigns build towards a climax, with hunters gaining prestige and renown, offering access to new, unique options for their warband. In the background, the five dooms also grow in power, threatening to deliver their own climax to the campaign if the hunters are not successful enough. Right now, you can score the 176-page hardcover of The Doomed for $35, or you can grab just the PDF alone over at Wargame Vault, which is, of course, part of the One Bookshelf sites, for $24.50. Do want to point out that it's $24.50. That is the going rate on all Osprey Games PDFs for whatever reason. Doesn't matter if it's 300 pages, doesn't matter if it's 120 pages, $24.50. Any color, $99.99. No, it's actually $24.50. I'm kind of curious about this because it seems to me that this has a very Frostgrave kind of vibe to it. And it seems like many of these skirmish miniatures games that Osprey Games produces are kind of similar to that, where you've got kind of a war band and kind of a Necromunda sort of vibe to the proceedings, where you've got your little gang. But I'm kind of curious how this differs from, say, like Stargrave, which is pretty cool. I like Stargrave a lot, outside of course, obviously, the dying world and the monstrous horrors. So, other thing I'm kind of curious about too, and unfortunately, this is something that kind of rears its head as far as Osprey Games releases. I wonder how much support this is going to get, because some of their games, such as the aforementioned Frostgrave, gets a lot of content published for it. Others, it's kind of one and done. So, I don't know. Tessie Trekkie says, Osprey's doing very good things. They've yet to publish a bad role-playing game in their honest opinion. I disagree. Not to say that they don't do really good stuff. I think the romance of the... What the hell was it? Is it even the romance? No, it's not Romance of the Five Kingdoms. It's the one where it was the Arthurian role-playing game, and all it was slapped on top of 5e. That one I didn't think was very good. But the other role-playing games that I have reviewed from Osprey Games, yeah, for the most part, they're pretty good. They are pretty good. And I think Heirs to Heresy is getting a new supplement. Thank you, Tessie Trekkie. Romance of Perilous Lands, of the Perilous Lands. Yes, that was the one that I was like, nah. But I think that was one of their first, or it was their first role-playing game release. Most of their role-playing game releases do not operate on 5e mechanics. You got Jackals. Jackals are really good. That's a very good series, and that's gotten some support as well. All right. So there is some discussion about Moria for whatever reason. I have no idea what they're oh, I'm kidding, because earlier today, Free League Publishing finally launched their Kickstarter to fund a Moria supplement for both The One Ring and Lord of the Rings role-playing. Reason why I say finally is because this was actually supposed to launch yesterday. It was supposed to launch on the 29th. But for whatever reason, to be honest, you know why I think Free League Publishing held off is because on Kickstarter, they were like announcing that there was going to be some maintenance going on and that there would be a period of time that you would not be able to access any of the projects or anything like that. And I think that might be why Free League decided, yeah, you know what? It's supposed to launch on the 29th. Let's just do it on the 30th. So this did fund in 4 minutes. I want to say off the top of my head, I think its funding goal was $22,000, somewhere in that vicinity. Anyway, here's the scoop. For long ages, the great city of the Dwerodelph was the seat of dwarven kings, and they were rich beyond measure in gold and mithril. But 1,000 years ago, Durin's bane arose and drove the dwarves from their halls. The city fell into darkness, becoming an abode of orcs, goblins, and worse. Countless orcs perished in the Battle of Five Armies. Maybe the halls of Durin lie empty once more. Maybe there are piles of treasure there waiting to be claimed. Maybe mithril still glimmers in the mines under Karadharas. Cross the dread threshold, adventurer, and delve deep. Moria, through the doors of Durin, includes And at the Gates. The trumpets rang, rivals, allies, and patrons in the quest for Moria, as well as a history of the dwarven city from its founding to its fall. Journeys in the dark. Journey rules adjusted for underground exploration, Moria's specific undertakings, and advice on running games and campaigns set in the city. Fell Foes lists the orcs and other enemies that may be found in the city and rules for risking an encounter with Durin's bane. The Mansions of the Dwarves is the largest part of the book, describing landmarks and hazards in the various regions of Moria. Moria, through the doors of Durin, describes the city of the dwarves and the surrounding lands as they were in the last years of the Third Age. For each region of Moria, we describe landmarks, factions, and non-player characters that the lore master can use as desired. There is no true Moria. In one game, maybe the great quest of the heroes is to loot the fabled treasure vault of Uruk-Tharbun. I know I came nowhere close to pronouncing that correctly. And another, the treasure vault may have lain broken and empty for 1,000 years. In another, it never existed at all. Moria is to be explored cautiously. Even the wise cannot trust their memories in this place. There is a very short Kickstarter video. It's not even a minute long, but I thought I would share it with you. It's got some cool music, kind of get the blood flowing. Plus, it didn't set off a copyright violation, so I can share it that way too. So let's take a peek. The Moria Kickstarter is already well past, well, this afternoon it was past the 1,500% funding mark. I'm sure it's way past that by now. You can reserve a copy of either the One Ring or 5e edition, which also includes PDFs, for a pledge of approximately $37 through September 14th, with expected delivery in May of 2024. And I heard the first 13 backers were actually going to get the entire shebang absolutely free, but it was only for the first 13 backers. Important to keep that in mind. Somebody out there knows I'm messing with them. So, pretty cool. I do want to mention Flaming Huron has arrived. Yes, one of our chat moderators, Flaming Huron, is with us to help share the burden of the banhammer with Sarah D. I don't know why we even mentioned the banhammer. I think we've tossed one person out. In all, I've been doing the live show, believe it or not, for almost 6 years. I know. Isn't that the weirdest thing to me? It's like, when did I start doing this? Like 3 years ago? And I saw something the other day and it was like one of my test streams that I did to to YouTube. And it was 2017, November of 2017. I was like, what? It's like, holy cow. So Flaming Heron asks, do people not play both of these role-playing games? The Kickstarter has pledge levels for the 5e and the One Ring versions. I guess they might allow add-ons for the other one? I gotta be honest, I don't think so. As odd as this might sound, I think the vast majority of people out there either play the One Ring or Lord of the Rings role-playing, which you notice it's got a different title. Shadow of Khazad-dûm is the Lord of the Rings role-playing title. But same book, same exact book. But I also did notice that they plan on releasing both of these at the same time, which is a little different because usually we see the One Ring release come out and then we get the 5e, usually about 6 months later. So Mr. Marmello with another super chat. Thank you very much. Tessie Trekkie says, damn you all, the lucky 13. Yes, because he was backer number 14. Kevin says they play both 5e and the One Ring, but they've never done anything with Adventures in Middle-earth. And yes, you can get the other version as an add-on before finalizing your pledge. So there you have it. So Kevin is the exception to the rule. Because people I have heard from, and I don't know. I'm not trying to throw my hat into either ring, but most people I have heard from, they were like Adventures in Middle-earth and now Lord of the Rings role-playing. That's what they play. They do not play the One Ring. Although the second edition of the One Ring's fine. I mean, it's a fairly rules-light role-playing game. So I'm going to go a little inside baseball with you. And this is absolutely has no knock against Free League Publishing whatsoever. I love those folks. They are super nice to me, always take care of me. But I do want to point out something that I've got a feeling about as far as the J.R.R. Tolkien role-playing releases. And there's a few different reasons why I'm drawing this, conclusion, some of which I cannot share with you. But if you watch my interview with Thomas Herenstam from Gen Con, this really doesn't come up. Even though this was like a big announcement at Gen Con for Free League Publishing, it's kind of an afterthought. In fact, I don't even know if Tomas even mentions this Kickstarter Off the top of my head, I don't remember. So I've also heard that sophisticated games is nearly impossible to deal with, that they are just huge pains in the ass as far as the Tolkien license, and that some of the nonsense you have to put up from them isn't actually worth the effort of having the license. So I would not be shocked if this turns out to be the last release for Lord of the Rings related role-playing from Free League Publishing. Just saying. Just saying. Because one of the other things is, you may recall, Cubicle 7 Entertainment was working on Moria. That was going to be the big release for the second edition of the One Ring from Cubicle 7 Entertainment before they walked away from the license. Yes, a lot of people out there think that Cubicle 7 Entertainment lost the license. They actually walked away from that license. So, once again, I am not knocking Free League Publishing whatsoever. I love them to death. I'm guessing this is going to be really cool. I'm just saying, I don't know how much more Lord of the Rings role-playing you're going to see after this arrives in, what, May of next year, thereabouts. Just saying. Just saying. All right. Let's see. So Russell Higgins says, haven't played in Middle-earth since Rollmaster had the license. Yes, MERP. So Stray Kismet says, they're putting out Moria around the same time as Phandelf Shattered OBL? I'm not sure what that is. I'm not sure what Stray Kismet is mentioning. I don't know. Anyway, so I just wanted to float that out there. I know a lot of people are going to say, Jeff, you're out of your mind. You're pulling this just out of the air. It's just a vibe I've got. It's just a feel that I have. So moving right along, let's wrap up the news section, because there is a new adventure which is available for Achtung Cthulhu 2D20, which is derived from Modiphius Entertainment. And here's the latest on Danger Island. Uh-oh, Chungo! Danger Island! Or is it, it's Danger Island? No, I think they just went Danger Island. Kevin says the new Wizards of the Coast Phandelver adventure. Yes. Oh, the Shattered Obelisk. Thank you. I'm like, all I see is Phandelver Shattered OBL. Which, once again, don't forget, you can get into the running to win my copy of the, I guess it's considered to be the Friendly Local Game Store exclusive. Talk about that in a few moments. It is February 1942, and as Japanese forces close in on the British stronghold of Singapore, Section M attempts to evacuate one of its foremost Asian experts, Colonel Horace Charles Farthingdale, and his assistant, Miss Marjorie Weathers, plus a valuable archive of papers and artifacts to safety. But during their flight to Darwin, Australia, their short flying boat is attacked by Japanese fighters, and after the Colonel and Miss Weathers bail out, the plane makes a crash landing on an unnamed island in the Pacific. Fortunately, Section M thought to provide an escort for the Colonel in the form of a group of agents, and they survived the crash only to find themselves alone, low on weapons and equipment, and in the midst of hostile and uncharted territory. Peril lurks everywhere on this jungle island, including natural hazards, ferocious predators, and a roaming supernatural terror. They also face more conventional foes in the form of a contingent of rogue Japanese troops who, alongside a mysterious sorceress, have come to claim an ancient legacy. I don't know. Maybe it's the Ark of the Covenant. Could be. Can the agents overcome the island's many dangers, rescue the colonel, his assistant, plus their archive, thwart the Japanese, and prevent the summoning of an army of howling demons who could tilt the war into Japan's favor? I mean, that's asking a lot. Find out in Danger Island, a new adventure for the Achtung Cthulhu 2D20 RPG. This features a 25-page adventure for 4 to 6 agents in both standard and printer-friendly formats. It's a mix of exploration, combat, and investigation to suit all playstyles. Experience new terror in the form of Oni demons, a sandbox-style adventure in a perilous isle featuring classic pulp elements. Features maps to enhance the playing experience for both players and GMs with a free digital map pack. Now, I do want to point out this does require the Achtung Cthulhu 2D20 core books in order to run. You can score the 25-page Achtung Cthulhu 2D20 Danger Island Tale in PDF over at Drive-Thru RPG for $7.50. Always good to see new Achtung Cthulhu adventures from Modiphius Entertainment. They release quite a few. And off the top of my head, now I'll be the first one out. I've not had an opportunity to see many of these adventures, but I do share news about a lot of them. I think this is the first time we're actually seeing the Pacific and the forces of the Japanese. Nice. Very cool. Jack Hanks is with us in chat asking, when does Lord of the Rings enter the public domain? And actually answered their own question. January 1st, 2044. Yeah, but the thing is, that public domain stuff is really tricky. Some things fall into it, other things don't. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So, Stray Kismet says they're eating and there's a cat on their arm. That's okay. I wake up every morning and I've got a cat on each side of me. It's kind of funny every single morning. Tessie Trekkie says it's sad the Tolkien estate are such lovely, wonderful humans that are so easy to deal with. I'm not saying anything about the Tolkien estate. I know nothing about them, either good or bad. Didn't Christopher Tolkien just recently pass away within like the last couple of years or so? I've never heard anything really bad about him. All I'm saying is the company that handles the gaming side of licensing is supposed to be just... They are not in tune with gaming, is what I understand. That they're more in tune with publishing literature, which is very strange because they've named their company Sophisticated Games. So it's sort of like... But anyway. Hey, I'm not trying to talk you out of backing Moria. It looks like it'll be awesome. It's Free League Publishing. You know it's not going to be crap. I just got this. I have a vibe that from things I have heard and things that I've kind of pieced together. Once again, I could be absolutely wrong. Free League Publishing could be publishing the One Ring releases through, the end of my life. I don't know. So, and hopefully that's not 2024. Okay. Right, that is it for the news tonight. Of course, I was talking about War Game Vault and Drive-Thru RPG. Don't forget, the Gaming Gang, thus Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit either of those sites or, say, Dungeon Masters Guild or Storyteller's Vault, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a little portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. But if you like this video, if you find the Gaming Gang channel to be entertaining, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can always stop on by paypal.me/thegaminggang to make a small donation. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. As I lubricate the mouth machine. Thankfully, many of you out there use those banner ads and/or visit paypal.me. So big tip of the cap to all of you out there. Thank you very, very kindly. Because if you're not overly familiar with the Gaming Gang, you may not realize I do not have a Patreon. I don't do yearly or bi-yearly Kickstarters to stay afloat. No. That I do not. All right. So, once again, thank you very much. As I mentioned while we were talking about, before we were getting into the Achtung Cthulhu, don't forget, get into the running to win my copy of the Friendly Local Game Store alternate art edition of Dungeons and Dragons, Phandelver and Below, the Shattered Obelisk from Wizards of the Coast. Super easy. Just go take a peek at my first look video, which I think it cracked 4,000 views today. It's not too bad because it's only been a couple of days. So get into the running. I made the contest easy peasy to jump into. And I also pointed out, if I can legally ship that book to where you live, you can win. It is not only for people in the U.S. Tessie Trekkie says, I want a deep one to stand in for Godzilla with respect to Tokyo for their Achtung Cthulhu game. There you go. Or just have Cthulhu stand in for Godzilla. I think that works. I think that would work. All righty. So we're going to be diving on into Plantagenet in just a few moments. I did want to mention just one thing real quick. As far as thegaminggang.com, the site is back up. It was down for like 9 hours, 10 hours yesterday. Pain in the ass. But it is back up. And I just want to let everybody know out there, I'm sure you visit websites for a variety of different reasons, looking for game information or, movie information, comics. Maybe you're playing Baldur's Gate 3 and you're like, oh man, how do I get past this goddamn monster? Let's see what we got on Google. I wonder who does that. And you run across these websites and it is just a shithole filled with ads and pop-ups and that stupid ass ad that comes out of the bottom and just sits there until you actually click on it so it'll sink back down into the nothingness. You will never run across that shit on thegaminggang.com. Ever. The only advertising you'll ever see is companies that are advertising with me, banners for Drive-Thru RPG. When I do my game sales, I float that out there. That is it. You never see any Google AdSense ads. And yes, does it cost me money? Yes, it does. I could slather that website with pop-up, you scroll down the screen to this point, boom, here comes a big pop-up ad. Or you're taking a look at, and it's funny because there are a lot of like really well-known gaming websites out there that are just a mess of Google ads, YouTube video ads. Unbelievable. I will not subject anybody to that because, you know, I'm sure the people who own those websites really, all they care about is that you clicked on their website, you visited their website. They don't give a shit what you read on there or what, but that they got those impressions of those ads. That's why so many of their articles are just such clickbait. And even their titles are just absolute clickbait. I respect my audience far, far too much to ever do that to you. Ever. And if it keeps me in the poorhouse, it keeps me in the poorhouse. I don't care. I just got to say that. And as I've pointed out before, gaminggang.com pulls in over 1 million unique visitors every year. Not 1 million visits, 1 million unique visitors. And if you're curious what that is, go look it up sometime, because there is a huge difference between people who tell you how many visits their website gets and how many unique visitors a website gets. Unique visitors far more important, because a unique visitor gets counted once in a month. That's it. That IP address is counted once, and that's it. Now, I have people who visit thegaminggang.com practically daily or multiple times a day. They're only counted once in a month. So anyway, Straight Kismet says, always banner up when getting drive-through RPG. Flaming Heron says, or links to their YouTube channels. I don't mind people with links to their YouTube videos and that doesn't really bother me at all, because it's still their content. What I'm talking about is when you get to, and in fact, I've seen much more of this, and it just gets worse. It just infuriates me to think that the people who run these websites think so little of me as a visitor that they would subject me to. I love where we're starting to see where there's so much shit on that page that you go to that you can only get like halfway through the article. And the article is maybe 5 paragraphs long, and there's like 4 videos mixed into it. And you're like, where the hell does the article start and end? But it gets to the point where you're stuck there. And I've got good internet, right? My internet service provider is decent. It's Xfinity. They're assholes. But I don't have like spotty internet or Wi-Fi or anything like that. It'll get to the point where you're sitting there and you're waiting for the rest of the page to load. And for a second, you're like, did Chrome crash? Did Firefox suddenly crash? Oh no, I'm just waiting for this shit to load. All right. So, Flaming Heron says, I found channels are putting pop-ups for YouTube videos on their websites to inflate reviews. Oh, yes. Okay, I get what you mean now. YouTube apparently includes those as views even when you're not watching them. So that changed recently for the worse. Because it used to be, if you had a video embedded on your website and you had it set to autoplay, it would not count as a view when somebody watched it. I don't do that. I don't have any videos set as an autoplay. But like this show will be embedded on a page over at thegaminggang.com. But if you visit the website and you're on the landing page, you're not going to get a video popping up automatically play. Hell, if you go specifically to the page that's going to have this video, it's not going to pop up and automatically start playing. But yes, now I understand what Flaming Heron's saying. Scott B. Smith says, I'm thinking of some of those, but out of courtesy will not mention them here. And also points out the stance is appreciated. Well, it's, I'm a different cat. I really am. I mean, I get it. I understand. People tell me all the time, dude, you could have made a whole lot of money doing this stuff. Yeah, and I would have had to sell out like a lot of people. No, thank you. So Fleming Heron says, it's more links to random YouTube videos of theirs. People might not be watching the video, but they apparently get counted as views for them. Yeah. So Fleming Heron says, I saw a certain channel got banned from the Baldur's Gate Reddit. Or Baldur's Gate 3, I should say. Reddit. Not surprising. Just like, like the D&D Fandelver and Below video, the first look video I did. D&D book comes out, I share a video of it. Then I share a review video. I do not share 20 fucking videos about that book. Oh, let's talk about this fantastic new background. Oh, yeah, this. And then there's this picture of me on the thumbnail, like, I don't do that. Could I do that? Of course. A lot of people do. There's a lot of channels out there. New D&D book comes out. Baby, you're going to get 20 videos all around 9 minutes. 8 to 9 minutes. Because you can put a mid-roll ad in a YouTube video if it's longer than 8 minutes. That's why if you ever wonder, why do all these people do 8-minute, 10-second videos? So anyway, all I'm saying is you can always visit thegaminggang.com and you are not going to be subjected to a bunch of crap. Now, of course, my writing might be crap, but you're not going to get like tons of ads thrown in your face and stuff like that. Stray Kismet says Jeff's built different. Yeah. I am old school in many, many ways. I really am. And to me, respecting your audience, that's old school. It's old school. It's not, oh, well, you're just a clique who showed up. I made 1/4 cent off of you. No. Not how I look at things. All right, so let's keep moving along because we're going to take a dive on into Plantagenet in just a couple of moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
Stripes, beech nuts, gum.
By beech nuts, by gum.
Stripes, improved stripe gum.
By beech nuts, by gum.
By gosh.
No, by gum. By beech nuts,
By beech
by
nuts,
gum.
by gum.
By fruit
By fruit stripe,
by gum.
by gum. Yikes, stripes.
By beech
By
nuts,
beech
by
nuts,
gum.
by golly.
By gum.
With 5 different flavors, with extra flavor for the whole family in every stripe.
Luscious lime stripe, lip smack and lemon stripe,
Delicious orange stripe.
Mixed fruit and cherry stripe. All for you in every pack of beech nut fruit stripe gum. By beech nut,
By gum.
by G,
By gum.
by king,
By gum.
by gosh.
By gum.
And there's extra flavor for the whole family in every scrumptious stripe.
more flavors to choose, more flavors to choose.
The flavor starts lively.
The flavor stays lively. By beech nut,
By beech nut, by gum.
By gum.
by gum.
Beech nut fruit stripe for the whole family. By gum.
Hello, grocery store? Send me some Wilkins instant coffee. How instant can you get?
Hi, gang. It's your old buddy Sugar Bear. I can't get enough Super Sugar Crisp. And that's the twin-hulled airboat. It comes in Super Sugar Crisp. You line the propeller and let her rip. Look at him cut across the water. got rubber band power. Airboats are born racing. Uh-oh, splasharoo. Come in 3 groovy colors. Get racing. 1 twin hull airboat in each specially marked box of post Super Sugar Crisp and frosted rice crinkles.
It's the exciting new Daredevil Trick Track with the incredible Dolphin Racer, gear-driven for longer battery life. Daredevil Trick Track, full of fantastic tricks. A sensational new steering track. A wall of logs. A teeter-totter. And it's up, 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 and over we go. A somersault flip. And now, straight through a fly-apart house. Get Daredevil Trick Track, action-packed with tricks and tracks. It's thrilling, spilling, crashing, smashing. Daredevil Trick Track from Transogram, where the fun comes from. Wow!
We hope you're enjoying your visit here this evening. Now, on with the show.
Enjoy some fruit stripe gum, by gum. See, now you know why there's actually a zebra on that fruit stripe gum, even though the zebra's got stripes. That was their, like, spokes animal. So, you know, I wonder if fruit stripe's even still around. Every once in a while, I'd see it. Usually in one of those, like, big packs. But I haven't seen it in a long time. And I don't know if Beech Nut is still around either. Kevin King says, yay, more crappy toys I had completely blocked from my memory. Straight Kismet says, that kid knows he's got to clean all that up. Hey, that wasn't as bad as some of the stuff that we see. Some of the toys we've seen are like, who the hell would play with that? Especially nowadays, be like, I'd rather just lay in the grass and do nothing. All righty, so tonight I am going to dive on in and take a first look at Plantagenet from GMT Games. It's designed by Francisco Gradale with art and graphics provided by Robert Altbauer and Matthew Wallhead. This game is for 1 or 2 players, ages 14 and up, plays in about 2 to 4 hours, does carry an MSRP of $89, and it is out right now. So let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got Plantagenet. Few things I do want to mention. First of all, let's get the shrink wrap off because it is pulling some major glare. Still getting some glare, but a little bit less. So the fine folks over at GMT Games were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this coverage with you. These days, it's very important that you know that. So let's take a look at the back here. I was going to say, it says it's the Cousins War, but isn't 1459, 1485, that's the War of the Roses, wars, I should say, of the Roses, right? Kevin King says, I think Cracker Barrel still sells fruit stripe gum. Flaming Heron says, the box is pretty shiny too. Yes, it is. It doesn't have a matte finish on it. England, 1459. King Henry V's son has not lived to fill his father's shoes. As England loses the 100 Years' War, its noble houses amass power and wealth, rivaling the king's own. Mounting tension over the crown leads to armed clashes under the excuse of freeing the king from evil counselors and finally ignites, there you go, the Wars of the Roses. Treason, bravery, political maneuver, and a cast of memorable characters mark one of the most intense and divided periods of English history. 3 spasms of military campaigning will lead to a climactic showdown between Lancastrian and Yorkist lines and finally end the Plantagenet dynasty. in Plantagenet, the 4th volume in Volko Ruhnke's Levy and Campaign series, players lead one of the two factions across the main periods of conflict as individual scenarios or the full Wars of the Roses. There's a little bit more, but let's jump on in. Now, I had mentioned previously, I thought maybe this was going to be like an introductory sort of title in Levy and Campaign. It is not. Now, it's still got a complexity of 5 on the scale of 1 to 9. But I did see, I think it's still on the P500 list. It is Henry V. So it's Agincourt. It's the Agincourt campaign is what I would think. And that looks to be like that's probably kind of the introduction to the Levy and Campaign series. Right, so let's start off by taking a look at the rules of play. It looks like we've got a playbook as well, although it's being called a background book. So we've got a summary of changes from the earlier volumes. Plantagenet is a board war game about the Wars of the Roses. It covers the main periods of military conflict between the Plantagenet dynasty's royal houses of Lancaster and York. Let's see. Plantagenet offers several short scenarios, a main scenario for each of 3 historical crescendos of fighting, and a grand Wars of the Roses scenario linking them. An advanced rule adds optional screens that can hide army strength for greater fog of war. Plantagenet has no solitaire system, but is solitaire friendly with its standard rules. All right. So we've got the game board. I think Matthew Wallhead did the game board. I did see a lot of people are complaining about the box art. I was like, yeah, it's not that exciting. Kevin R. Smith says, apparently Beechnut is still around, but now it's a baby food company. Oh, I thought they did baby food forever. I think I seem to recall as a kid there being like Beechnut baby food. I don't remember when I was a baby, but I'm saying as a little kid going to the grocery store with my mom. Russell Higgins says, fruit stripe gum lasts about as long as 3 chews. Yes, that was one of the things I hated about fruit stripe gum. Chew it for about 30 seconds, all the flavor's gone. Okay, so we're getting a breakdown of the board itself. Lords and vassals. So our lords are going to be represented by the cylinders. At least they usually are. We've got our lord cards. Setup and the calendar. So it's showing us sample layout with square or round table and no hidden mats. And sample layout with wide but shallow table and using hidden mats. Looks like you need a lot of space here. Even for just not using the hidden mats. It looks like you better be at a pretty good sized table. Although, we'll find out when we take a look at the board. So Levy. At the outset of each turn, players prepare for the campaign to follow by adding to their armies. That is the levy. You have to pay your troops, muster your troops as well. Campaign. After levy, conduct a turn's campaign, completing the steps below. Plan, activation, more activations, and campaign. So we're going to get a breakdown of each of those phases. So we've got plan, command, march, and battle, and supply, as well as other commands such as sail and forage. You can also tax and deplete. If coin added, mark the tax stronghold as depleted. Or if it's already depleted, flip it to exhausted. Kevin says Beechnut doesn't make candy. They still make baby food. They don't make candy or gum anymore. Yeah, I guess somebody else must have fruit stripe. Last time I had fruit stripe gum, which it's been a while. It's been a few years. It still was the same. Chew it 30 seconds, no flavor. Although it's got a nice flavor to it for those 30 seconds. Here we've got our scenarios. We've got our scenario guide. So we have Henry VI, then we have Warwick's Rebellion, and we have Wars of the Roses, which is all three scenarios. And then we have My Kingdom for a Horse. Oh, looks like we also have a Battle of Bosworth scenario. So it's going to give us the information about each of the scenarios and the setups. So we have, looks like we've got each scenario broken down into smaller scenarios if you want to. So here 1A is Henry VI. 1B is Towton. Yeah, so that's what it is. It's at least that's what it appears to me. Is this is the grand scenario. And then if you want shorter, maybe, a 2-hour game or something like that, we've got Towton and Somerset's Return. Then we got Warwick's Rebellion, which we only have the one scenario here. And then My Kingdom for a Horse, and I think, there we go. So Bosworth is just like a mini scenario from My Kingdom for a Horse, and then the Wars of the Roses. Interesting. One of the aspects of the Levy and Campaign series that I think makes it stand out is that you really do get a feel for, number one, the problems that rulers had in the medieval, early Renaissance, because I know this is the 15th century, and a lot of historians now feel that the Renaissance actually kind of started around the 13th century. But one aspect of the games that I think is pretty interesting is the challenges that these rulers had in fielding armies and in keeping them cohesive. And I think that's reflected very nicely without getting into a whole lot of minutia as far as the series here. So we have a quick start. So we have a King Henry quick start here, talking about solitaire and team play. Strategy. Where's our example of play? Here we go. So it's giving us, it looks like it's an example of each of the phases. So this really is a playbook, but I guess GMT is maybe changing the name of the playbooks to background books. See, background book. So we've got the campaign. I say it all the time when we're taking a look at GMT games that have a playbook or background book. I always read these first, because usually the extensive example of play helps make the rule book easier to digest. Rob German's with us. Says, go Cubs. Yes. I was wearing a Cubs hat yesterday. So, yeah, I'm a lifelong Cubs fan. So things are looking good. I don't want to jinx them, but things are looking good, at least to get to the playoffs. I was not expecting them to be as successful as they have been, especially when they got to the point when they were 10 games under 500. All right, so it looks like we're getting a lot of historical background here. That's cool. So we had histories of the lords and vassals. Another aspect of Levy and Campaign that can be pretty interesting is you can see how some of these lords will switch sides and things like that. Looks like we've got our event deck. So this is going to explain what the Yorkist events are. And then we should be getting the Lancastrian, right? Yep, there we go. The Lancastrian events for each of the scenarios, because of course your event deck is going to be different depending on what scenario you're playing. We've got the Lancastrian capabilities throughout the scenarios. We get some design notes and selected sources. So this, now we get a card list. This is the background book for Plantagenet. We have some stickers, which are going to go on those cylinders. Here are those aforementioned screens. If you want to utilize the screens to hide your strength of your forces. There we go. Are these both the same? No, they are not. Nice. That's cool. I like that. I like how they are different. Got some player aids. So this shows us the commands, forces, strongholds, breakdown of battle, the procedure and the steps, and your sequence of play. So we've got 2 of these. We also have special rules for each of the scenarios. Kevin King asks about the heraldry. They're curious if it's accurate. I don't know. I know there had been some whinging about some of the heraldry. So I don't know. I can't tell you. Right, so here is the board. So the board isn't that big. It is 4 panels. So as I had said before, you need a pretty good sized table. Maybe not so much if you're not using the screens. So here's our calendar. Here we've got our map. We've got a turn marker. I think this is probably turns. So I don't believe we're tracking. Oh no, it wouldn't be turn. The turns are up here because it's the calendar. Duh. That's what the calendar is used for, Jeff. First time you've taken a look at a war game of any sort? I'm not sure what this tracks. It might be, you might be tracking victory points. All right. So, and this is a mounted board, of course. We've got some counters. You know what? I'm going to zoom in on the counters. Might as well, because we're going to be taking a look at the cards. All right, let's make sure that we've got that in focus. There we go. I like the game board. It looks, yeah, sometimes, no offense to war games out there, but you ever know, sometimes you see a war game board and it's sort of like, ho-hum. That actually has some personality to it. I like that. That's cool. All right. So here we have some of the different, I think those are the vassals. And we've got some informational counters, coin, cart, ships, depleted, and then we know on the other side it's exhausted, right? Yep, there we go. So we've got 2 counter sheets. We have the various different cylinders. We have some blocks as well in there. So we got the cylinders for the lords. And we have some more blocks here. Those should be our forces, I believe. Some 6-sided dice, some extra baggies. Yay! Hooray! I say that because there had been some GMT releases, because you used to always get baggies in GMT games for all the counters and to, you know, separate them out. And then recently there have been games that have been coming out, there were no baggies. I didn't say anything, but I kind of thought, oh, that's kind of surprised we're not getting the GMT baggies. They're back. Nice. Okay, so we'll get those out of the way. So we have our decks of cards. Take a peek at those in just a moment, but we also have, we should have our Lord cards. Yep, there we go. Arts of War cards, command cards, and then we've got the battle board. So this is the battle board here. So we have the attacker and defender. And then we've got our army. If I remember right, these are like army boards where we assign a lord and then we have our forces on here. Yep. So they should all be identical. Now, sometimes we have seen in past Levy and Campaign games where these boards are actually pretty large and they are designed for particular lords. If I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure, because they're not this small. They're not the size of a regular standard playing card. All right, so there are the command cards there. And we've got Henry VI, influence, lordship, command, and valor. Well, that valor 0. Somerset, Exeter, Buckingham, Northumberland, Warwick. Didn't Warwick switch sides, if I remember correctly? For some reason, I thought he did. Jasper Tudor, Clarence. This was before he got his wings, by the way. Before he became an angel. Margaret, Somerset, Oxford, Exeter. Now, I'm going to take a guess. We have the number there. I think this is probably a later scenario. See, just like Jasper Tudor for later scenarios. Okay, so those are Lord cards. Got our command cards. So just kind of show you these. They're just for each Lord. So you play the command card in order to activate them. Pass, pass, pass. So we've got that. Let's open this one up here. So this looks like this is just the command cards. Yeah. See, there you go. There's Warwick. So this should be the Yorkist cards here. Oh, yeah, right there. Duh. Yeah, these should be the Yorkist cards. Yeah, I don't know. What's giving you that idea, Jeff? Rob German says, this one is tempting. They're going to look for a review. This just arrived within the last week. So you got York, March, Salisbury, there's Warwick, Rutland, Edward IV, Pembroke, Devon, Northumberland, Gloucester, Richard III, Norfolk, Northumberland. See, there's our twos again. And then we've got some Arts of War cards mixed in with this. So the command, once again, same kind of thing that we saw with the Lancastrian faction there. So we got these. And then the Arts of War are like the events. Kind of like your event decks. So we've got the Lancastrian here. Leeward Battle Line. Card is bent. Boo, hiss, boo. That is not good. So, yeah. Putting those in sleeves with backs on them. Flank attack. Escape ship. Mustered my soldiers. So as you can see, these are dual purpose. Be sent for heralds. Ravine. My crown is in my heart. Parliament votes. French fleet. Henry released. Now, of course, we do see that we've got the numbers down in the corner. So that's going to indicate in the scenarios, you're not going to be using all of these cards as your deck. So you're going to seed your deck with events that would be taking place during that scenario. So we've got that. Then we've got the Yorkist. So some of these are the same. Suspicion. Exile Pact. Tax collectors. Each Yorkist lord may immediately conduct a tax action to receive twice the usual coin. Parliament's truce. The Commons. Yorkist Parade. Not even going to try to pronounce that. Dubious Clearance. But as you see, we've got like Fallen Brother. If Clarence is dead or shipwrecked, this lord has influence +2 and lordship +1. Nice. Very nice. The King's Name. An Honest Tale speeds best. Through end of this campaign, including in Levy, each Lancastrian parlay cost +1 extra influence points. Swift maneuver. Nice. And of course, we get the insert. Ta-da. All right, so we've got the various decks of cards. And yes, I normally put these into a bag, separate the decks out and put them in a bag like this. We've got the cylinders. We've got the little blocks, the baggies. 6 six-sided dice. Oh, you know what I forgot to put in? Our boards. Oops. So I guess we're going to do this with the cards. And yay, we got the space. Although, I think I'm going to have to do this. Just for now. I'll once the video's over, I'll go and sort through this a little nicer. Okay, so we've got the 2 counter sheets. We've got the interesting looking game board, at least in my opinion. We've got the special rules for each of the scenarios, as well as the 2-player aid cards, the stickers for those cylinders. We've got the 2 screens. If you're using that rule as far as being able to include a little more fog of war, so each player doesn't know their opponent's strength of their armies. Got the background book and the rules of play, and that's what we find when we take everything from Plantagenet outside the box. And I will do my best to try to get a review of this out there. Once again, as I always point out, see, now this is a little different. This isn't just like your typical like hex and counter war game, which I have an almost impossible time getting anybody to sit down and play with me. So this is one that I could probably get my nephew Cameron to play, maybe Elliot, but we just don't get together enough to really probably get to take this out on the table. All right, once again, this is Plantagenet from GMT Games. It is available now. It carries an MSRP of $89. And as I like to say, with any of the GMT releases, if you have any interest in picking this up, do so now, because the print runs for GMT Games are not huge. And when they sell out, you're going to have to do one of 2 things. You're either going to have to go spend top dollar over on the secondary market to pick this up, or you're going to have to wait 2 years or more for a reprint. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. All right. What's cooking for tomorrow's show? Well, we are going to dive on in and take a look at the upcoming Tales from the Loop. They grow up so fast. From Free League Publishing, who we were talking about earlier with their Moria Kickstarter. So that'll be on tomorrow's show. Then next Tuesday, we are going to take a look at Tiny Epic Vikings with its Ragnarok expansion. And then a week from today, it's another War Game Wednesday. That's right. We're going to take a look at North Africa 1941 from GMT Games. As far as a week from tomorrow, I'm not sure yet. We might take a first look at The Empire Wax Back for Broncolonia. We might look at something else. So, also, later on this week, I will be sharing my first look at Cults of RuneQuest, the Earth Mothers. Already shot. It's in the can. It's actually already uploaded to YouTube, but I figure, I don't want to spoil you folks out there with multiple videos every day. So that'll be up later on this week, as will be my review of Pirate Borg from that aforementioned Free League Publishing. I told you, they're good to me. I wasn't like knocking them because I don't foresee a lot of Lord of the Rings role-playing game stuff coming out after 2024, but they're still real good to me. This is shot too. This is in the can, uploaded to YouTube, ready to go. So, all righty. Flaming Heron says, "Oh, I want to be spoiled." Jack Hanks says that they love Free League Publishing. Their games are great. They are one of the top companies out there as far as role-playing games. That is for sure. And funny thing is, it wasn't that long ago that all they were really publishing was Mutant Year Zero. It's come a long way in just a few years. And the Walking Dead universe is coming out. I think it's slated for a November release, which is kind of weird because you'd think they would have tried to, do everything they could to get it out before Halloween. But I would take a guess. That is one of the next Free League Publishing releases that we will be getting to take a peek at. Because I usually get to see these things in advance. So, the other thing too, I should point out, be sure to check out my Pirate Borg review when it I'm probably gonna Saturday. I think I'll actually put it live because I'm giving away a copy of the hardcover. So definitely check that out. And once again, if you're interested in winning this copy of the Friendly Local Game Store alternate art edition of Dungeons and Dragons, Vendelver and Below, the Shattered Obelisk, take a peek at my first look video. Once again, I'll ship this anywhere I legally can from the US. So get into the running for that. All right, that is it for this time out. If you like the video, by all means, please give this a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, be sure to ring that bell, because not only will it let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Central right here on YouTube, it'll also inform you when I upload other videos, such as my first look at. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you will not find here on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Thank you very much for watching. If you were hanging out live, thank you. If you hung out live and took part in chat, tip of the cap, because not only do you keep me company, you keep each other company while I'm doing the unboxings or first looks, paging through. But of course, I know a lot of you out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you kindly for taking time out to watch any of the videos here on the Gaming Gang channel. Enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. And until I see you next time, once again, I'm Jeff McAleer, and here's hoping each of you gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.